Are you guys ready to try my absolute favorite chili? No meat involved, and she is still my favorite chili. I hope you guys enjoy this recipe, and I hope it's easy enough for you from Faith's Oven. Okay, so today we are going to make chili. It's one of my favorite recipes. I don't know if you guys have tried this recipe, but I usually use canned tomatoes, fire roasted canned tomatoes. But since we live in Turkey, I have to kind of do some improv and do things a little bit differently. So I am going to roast my own tomatoes. I have a bunch of tomatoes here and I am going to roast them myself. I roast tomatoes anyway because I make salsa all the time. I'm gonna roast my tomatoes. I'm gonna roast a couple of jalapenos because I want a little kick in my chili. That's what we're gonna do. But if you guys, I think a lot of my viewers are in the US, if you guys can find fire roasted tomatoes, or if you wanna try it this way, this is gonna be my first time trying it this way, roasting them myself, try it this way. But if you guys can find the can and you're being lazy and you wanna be really quick, get the canned fire roasted tomatoes. I think it's like a 28-ounce can of them, and that'll be a really quick recipe. It's getting chilly here and I am craving chili, so we're gonna have chili and cornbread. I don't know if you guys have tried my cornbread recipe, but I'm gonna put that out again so you guys can try that with chili. It's perfect, it's comforting, it's hearty, but it's not weighty. You know how sometimes meat chili, it can be weighty, but to me this is the best chili ever. It's super easy, super flavorful, super tasty, and let's do it. So my oven is already preheated to 400 degrees. We're gonna roast our tomatoes and jalapenos for about 30 to 35 minutes. In the meantime, while we are roasting, you guys can make your cornbread. I have that recipe in this video also, but I'm just gonna start off with just what it takes to make this chili. So I'm gonna cut 2 brown onions. You guys can use yellow onions, white onions, all the same. I wouldn't use purple onions, maybe for the topping, yes, but not as the base. All right, and then I'm gonna get my spices together. I'm gonna do 1 tablespoon of cumin, 1 tablespoon of coriander, 1 tablespoon of oregano, and 3 tablespoons of chili powder. All right, and then we're gonna put that to the side. I'm going to chop up a couple more ingredients. Now, what you're not going to see me chop up is 2 small carrots, but I'm going to chop up about 5 to 6 cloves of garlic. I love garlic in my chili, you guys. And at this point, our roasted tomatoes and jalapenos are finished. So we're going to pull them out of the oven, and I'm going to let them cool a little bit because this is what we're going to use as our base in our chili, okay? Now, we're going to get started on our onions. I added some olive oil. I let my olive oil get a little bit heated, and now I'm going to cook my brown onions for about 10 minutes. I'm going to let them simmer, and I'm going to let them get golden brown. The aroma is going to be amazing. Your eyes might start to water, but you want to cook those guys because they're going to give the chili so much flavor. All right. Now, once my onions are nice and brown, just like this, I'm going to go ahead and add my carrots. I chop them, and I'll give them a nice stir, and I'm going to let them cook along with those onions. Then I'm going to go ahead and add my garlic. I'm going to let that cook for about, say 30 seconds or so. And then we're going to add our spices to the mix because we want to get that heat right on those spices, right? I always like my spices to get nice and roasted just a little bit before I add our liquid ingredients. So I get those spices cooked a little bit against that pot, and we stir. Now at this point, I'm going to take the skin off of my roasted tomatoes. My tomatoes are still warm, not hot, but they've cooled down. And I'm going to kind of squeeze them into the other ingredients, just like this. So if you guys remember, I had 9 tomatoes all together. They were like small to medium tomatoes, and so I'm just going to add them. And again, you guys can get fire roasted tomatoes. I think they make for the best chili, so I roasted my own, and this recipe came out perfect. And see, I'm mixing my tomatoes in with all of my spices and onions and garlic and carrots. Now at this point, I added 2 tablespoons of tomato paste and 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. All right, get that in there and mix some more. All right, you kind of want to get all those spices mixed in really well with all the other ingredients, and so that's why I keep stirring. And at this point, we're going to add 1 cup of lentils and a half cup of quinoa. This is our meaty, our meaty ingredient, you guys. our nice, hearty, wonderful ingredient that gives this recipe, this chili, all the texture in the world, all the texture that you will ever need. And then I'm gonna add about 6 cups of water. You guys can add some type of stock or broth if you would like. I did not. Then I added 1 tablespoon of salt and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Getting everything mixed in. So remember that jalapeno that I roasted? I'm gonna remove the seeds, and then I'm gonna chop the jalapeno and add it right to our chili. My kids and my husband had been complaining that I had been making things too spicy, so roasting that jalapeno pepper was perfect. It could tamed it down just a little bit, and removing the seeds tamed it down perfectly, and I got the perfect kick that I like. Now we're gonna get started with our cornbread. We're gonna continue to let our chili cook. Can you guys see my pot to the side over there? Yes, we're gonna keep her on medium low. And then our cornbread calls for 1 cup of cornmeal, 1 cup of flour, 2/3 cup of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, 3½ teaspoons of baking powder. And those are all of our dry ingredients, and we're gonna mix those together. Then we'll add 1/3 cup of oil, 1 cup of milk, and 1 egg. And then we'll mix. And that's how simple the cornbread is, you guys. And it's a perfect asset to this chili. I love my chili or my beans and rice with cornbread. I don't know if you guys know anything about that, but I love a good chili with a good cornbread. It just makes all the difference in the world. And my oven is preheated to 425. And I'm gonna go ahead and make my cornbread muffins rather than just a loaf of cornbread this time. And we're just gonna pour her in. I used my little muffin container thingies. I don't know what they're called. And then we'll just slowly add. We'll get 12 muffins out of this. I usually do double the recipe just because it's 5 of us and we love the leftovers. So as our cornbread cooks for about 11 minutes at 400 degrees, 400 to 425, I had some black beans in my refrigerator, and I love to add leftover black beans to my chili. Now, if you guys want to add some canned beans, you can, but I always have beans on deck because that's just the kind of girl that I am. I love beans. So we add our black beans to our chili, gives it another level to the texture. And as you guys can see, everything is finished. Our cornbread is finished. Everybody start grabbing cornbread before I can even get a picture. So that's what you guys get to see. And then here is our chili. And I like to top mine with either green onions or purple onion, red onion, cheese, and a sour cream. And then my little cornbread muffin. Perfection. I hope all of my home chefs enjoy this recipe just as much as I do. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Face up, and God bless.